Eamon likes. It's called "Welcome to the Internet" by Bo Burnham. It's a little bit of a racy song, but it's worth listening to. But there's this part there. He goes, "Welcome to the Internet, where you can get anything and everything." And some parts of me want to be like that when I get on here. Sometimes it's like, "Welcome, welcome to the Wickedly Divine Feminines vlog." I don't know. I need something better than that. Anyways, I am here. I remember if you watched my video yesterday, we were in Twin Rivers Park. And the fun thing is, we're now on the other side of that park. It's connected. It's not connected by land exactly. It's separated by the Stillaguamish River, but this is Howler Park. At least the park part of it, like the play part. But what I'm going to do is take a brief walk on, oh, it's all backwards, Eagle Trail. Reflective. Mm. Anyways, I decided to name today's short blog Pennies because I was laughing. So, a friend of mine brought me a car. I'm so grateful to him. It's a Honda Element, and it has more room for my Eamon, who is a tall Sasquatch, to sleep in. And he is very, very happy. He could curl up in it, he could spread out in it. It's got more room for the bird, and the bird is chirping like a mofo because it's so much brighter. Like, we love the Explorer. It's not, I'm getting that thing fixed. The thing is good to have. And this one has a couple of problems too, but it does have tinted windows, which is nice when you're hiding things, I guess, when you're hiding that you're sleeping in your car, but it's not very good for a bird who needs lots of sunlight, you know? And so, thank you, Spirit, for that. And one of the things that he told me, my friend told me that I needed to do, so he left 3 pennies. I feel bad because I only remember this portion of what he told me. There was something else involved in what he told me, and I need to know it because I want to understand this penny magic. But he said there are 3 pennies on the dash. You must glue them to the dashboard. And there was some sort of thing about it being a gift from some penny deity or a person with penny power. I'm not positive. I'm going to ask again. I'm just waiting for the right moment. But I went ahead and did that this morning because something in my head kept saying, if you don't do that, something weird is going to happen to this car. And because I've had moments like that before. You should listen, you know? And when someone gives you a gift, you do what they say most of the time, within reason and good boundaries. And that's like one of those, why not? Why wouldn't I do that? And so I did. I just glued them in, and I thought, I'm going to make an arrangement with them. I kind of made them into an arrow of sorts on my dash. I'm like, yes, the pennies. And if there wasn't actually a penny deity, I might just make one up. Or look one up. Do any of you know of any gods or goddesses that really like pennies? There's the beautiful Stillaguamish River over there. I love that river. It's a beautiful river. They're about to have the Eagle River Festival, which I've wanted to go to for years. It's kind of funny that we're positioned to go to the part of it that is going to be right here in Arlington. And I love that. Yay! Anyways, I also love the graffiti that they have out here. This is really funny. I'm going to show this to you guys while I talk. So, now we have a better vehicle. And last night, I was happy. I got to see my Joey and my DM, my kid's dad, and my Eamon and his dad, my DM, got to have a little time together too. It wasn't perfect, kind of a gruff, what is it, the, outdated version of men sort of thing, but, they did their own thing. So here's this, look. Almost looks like a smile, right? Like a peace smile, but it's not. Almost like can you see that? Like the bricks. I'm not sure what they're saying about that, but. And then I saw this the other day, like, look at this. This is like honeycomb, flowery, arty sort of thing. Let's see if I can get it on there. There we go. Like, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Like, I want more graffiti like that. You know what I mean? In any case, we were talking, and my DM does not reveal everything. He's getting better about not being such a gossip. He did reveal that apparently my adoptive parents, when we left, were stalking my son's school and other places trying to see if they could take him. And it was they, I suppose, who had called the school and reported truancy and whatnot. And I already talked to the truancy officers. Like, I told them about what my adopted parents had done to him and checked in about whether or not he could be safe at the school, because I wanted to make sure that he had the choice about whether or not he went with other people, because there's a lot of unknowns, and he already got hurt in a situation that I expected that he would not get hurt in. I knew I would probably get hurt in it, but I didn't expect anybody to hurt the kids. And that's what I told the school. Like, he at the time had wanted to go back, but it was like, well, I want to make sure there's not a situation where they can come and provoke him into being upset or angry or some shit like that and try to trick him, because they did try that when I was on even when I just went on the darn road trip, for goodness sakes. Like, really? Can't let a woman have a break for a minute? Whew. Anyways, the school never got back to me on his safety. And then they had, not surprisingly, a few weeks after that, we got informed by one of his friends there that they had, the students all did a walkout and did a strike because, well, this is what I was told by the kids, that one of the male school administrators was being inappropriate in the bathrooms with some girls, and they reported it. And the school did some really weird shit. It's like, if you really want, they wanted everyone to believe that the girls were just being, like, see, this is so sexist, right? That they're just being gossipy teenage girls trying to ruin some guy's career. And if you've heard me talk about anything, it's not that I don't believe that that can't happen, but a lot of times, you can tell who's telling the truth by the way they act. That's kind of one of those lessons of Venus and Capricorn, too. It's part of why I wanted to talk about this. Like, it's about integrity. It's about honor. And especially when it comes to, like, I'm going to say either actual courts or courts of public opinion, like the actual judgments, like Saturn and things like that. It's one of those, the way you act after you say something really makes a difference. It, like, the natural way you act, not the fake way you act, not the way you pretend. No, like the real way you act. Because the way that the school acted when those students were like, hey, something wrong is happening, they immediately expelled everybody before investigating anything, before even looking into anything. And a lot of the other kids were like, hey, wait a minute. And they started saying, we're going to do a walkout. The school started threatening them. It's like, you know what? That is their constitutional right to do that. And I know, because I did that once in high school. I set up a protest and a petition and all sorts of stuff. I know what kids' constitutional rights are at schools. And so they were trying to exercise their constitutional rights, and the school wanted to shut that down. And it happened, coincidentally, at the same time that a lot of students across the country were protesting for different reasons. Some for racial equality, some for gender equality, some for more inappropriate behavior from administrators. Like, there was a lot. And for me, it's like, okay, that makes sense. The kids are speaking up, especially if you've been following my blog, you've seen that there has been a lot of this energy of kind of the healing and wholesomeness of children and our inner children. So it made sense to me. But I definitely was not keen on sending my kid back to a school that was going to act like that. And that happened after we had asked them about his safety. And they did not get back to us on that. And they did not get back to us on the schoolwork that they said that he was supposed to be able to get and do while we were in the hotel and doing stuff like that, because we have his Chromebook. He literally wanted to do schoolwork. I wanted him to do it too, but I mean, considering our situation, I would have been lenient on not keeping up with schoolwork right at the moment, but he wanted to. We reached out, we talked to all the right people. Did not happen, right? And there was just something, like, I was thinking about it. I remember telling Eamon, I said, it could be me being just anxious about stuff that might not actually happen. But unfortunately, I grew up with my family, and I know them. And I said, I don't want to send you to a school in the middle of a bowl community like Lake Stevens with a car not working very well, where I cannot come get you immediately, especially with a school that will not assure me that you will be safe and at least be allowed to decide whether or not you want to go with somebody. And he agreed. And I said, because looking at the way that his grandparents tried to trigger us both into doing something stupid, and it worked to a degree with him. Like, he was scared, he defended himself while he was in there. And they've been trying to use that, but the problem is, it's much like the way that the school acted with the kids. It's like, you're going to say that he defended, or that he hurt you, but why was he in that position to do that in the first place? And then on top of that, they've not reached out to him. Not once. It's been almost 5 months. Not once. Not for Christmas, not for New Year's, not for nothing. And they had their sister reach out to him with one text and say that they really missed him, which is like, they could call if they really missed him, but I let him answer any way that he wanted to, and he decided to answer. That was the time we were on the islands, and say, well, you know what? I told them that they could reach out to me anytime. That's what he did tell them. And he still holds to it. I told him I won't let him be alone around them at all. But if he wants to have connections with them on the phone, and he wants to do that kind of stuff, that's fine. Like, I'm kind of done with it, you know what I mean? But if he wants to, he can. And he's left that open to them, because the ball is in their court. They're the ones that hurt him. They're the ones that kicked us out. They're the ones that put it in that position. I'm not saying that, anyone's completely innocent in it, but when you do that stuff, typically the onus is on you to reach out and show that it is safe, right? They've not done that. And that's kind of that Venus and Capricorn energy, you know what I mean? It shows a lack of integrity, You're going to sit there and try to set stuff up to make me look, I don't even know, it's like they were trying to set me up to make it look like I was going to steal the car and do a bunch of crazy stuff, because I asked them to go to therapy. And I reminded them of what they put me through as a child and a teenager. And yeah, I had some angry words, but I said, if you go to therapy and you'd work on your issues, this stuff would not be happening right now. And you had better boundaries and better self-thoughts and stuff. They didn't like that. You go to therapy. And I said, guess what? 4 years and counting. Right? And I've gone to therapy before. I put myself in therapy when I went to community college when I was my son's age, so I could get through it. You know what I mean? Been going, love going. It's great. It's growth is good. Self-improvement is good. You don't even have to have a problem to go to therapy or counseling. It's just a good place to work out stuff in a safe environment with somebody who is appropriate to do that stuff with, so you're not bleeding that all out into your relationships and shit. But I tell you what, even though I told my own therapist, I have never seen people go crazier at the thought of somebody saying, you need therapy. You know what I mean? And but the way that they tried to set it up, and then looking at it now, it's like, wait a minute. If you had this big plan that I was supposed to do all these awful things, where is any of that? I've been working. I've been surviving. All you watching this stuff have seen it, right? I'm working on a new life. My intention was never to play with the drama. It was to release it and to be there are, as Lizzo says, there are bigger things. There's really shit going on. There's a lot more stuff going on in the world. A lot better things to be doing. And you know what? We're almost fucking there. And I'm really proud of us. Both of my sons are really proud of me. And I'm proud of them. None of this was exactly easy, but I know that Spirit helped guide us, especially with gratitude and things like that. I don't know. I'm thinking a lot about it, though. I'm a little worried for my DM. He did not look good. I knew that as I released stuff to do my healing, that it would kick up his shadow storms. And that was part of releasing my codependence, because there's a lot of stuff that I should have done for me and for our boys that I didn't do, because I knew that it would likely make him face his own shit. And I was worried for a while that he could not handle that. And that's another thing I'm proud of myself for. I noticed that a lot of people just completely baby him, and then when it comes time to actually do the real work, he kind of does this like, oh, thank you, awakening of Stacy. um, I realized that when it comes down to actually doing the real work, all he has to do is be a bit of a butthead and act like, well, fine, I screwed it up, so I'll never get it right, and he gets out of it, and then the game, the loops continue. And it's like, you know what? I can't control if he does that or wants to do that or learns from that. But what I can do is stop being that another feminine that's like, oh, you poor thing, you have to deal with so much shit. I'm not going to do my healing because you might have to do your healing in that process. It was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm enabling just as much. And it's kind of similar with my own family too. Like, in keeping quiet and doing all this stuff, I'm just enabling it, and I'm not helping myself, and I'm not helping my kids. And now, like you said, Stacey, right? I have beautiful community members coming out of the woodworks. I was kind of at a space where I was like, okay, I'm doing this mostly myself. Like there's some donations coming in, but I could do it. I could figure it out. I've always been kind of that person, and it's just letting myself have that. But that's also one of the main rules to manifestation too. You get the things that when you no longer need them, and when they're a want that you're not thinking about all the time, that's when it comes in. And I don't know, I told my friend who brought the car, I said, I'm grateful on just a base level for everything. Like, I'm alive today, I'm breathing, I got some smokes, I got my kid with me, I got a good job. Like, I'm grateful on a base level. But when he brought that car, I was like, and he was a little worried about some of the stuff wrong with it. I was like, you know what? I am so grateful that you would even do this. You drive all the way out here to see me, to bring me this. It's got more room in it. It gives us a little bit more leeway. And I have my kiddo closer to my work, so when I'm working, I'm not too far away. Not that we were in the first place. It's a nice small town, so it's only a few blocks anyways, but it's nice, And I'm extra grateful for that. And I know more stuff is coming in. I know we're going to have a place soon. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. And, it's funny because that's where my mind goes. That's kind of what makes me laugh when various different pirates are like trying to sit there and being like, well, she's going to do this to us, or she's going to act this way or that way. And it's like, come on, people, hey, real shit going on, Ain't you noticed the crazy weather patterns and the way the government's acting and everything else? Like, you really going to spend all your time trying to say that I'm going to do shit that ain't anywhere on my mind of shit to do? Like, maybe learn a little bit of astrology. Capricorns, we ain't like that, baby. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm loving this Venus and Capricorn energy. It's my natal placement, too. My Venus is in Capricorn. And so, for me, this is, like, beautiful. There are plenty of times that I get tested in terms of my integrity. But I love it because that's my default space, is integrity, One of my first tattoos on my chest says death before dishonor. I actually want to change it and say, I think I'm going to have somebody tattoo and just cross out death and before. And, like, doodle in life and honor. Or maybe I'll just have it, like, crossed out once. That's funny, yours, too. Or maybe I'll just have it crossed out and right next to it say life of honor, right? It's not death before dishonor. I need to be no death. That was an old me thing, though. I have Mars and Scorpio, so, I'm not opposed to that. It's just transformative, But I'm so grateful for life. Like, why worry so much about the transitionary period, There's so many things to experience in this world. That's one of the things that I had said to my adopted mom in the weeks before, when all this craziness was happening, was like, there are so many beautiful things in this world you can focus on. Why focus on what makes you feel bitter, But as I said, though, I'm hoping that y'all send some prayers my DMs away. I know that he's going through the ringer. Scorpio rising, nice. My youngest son is Scorpio rising. Anyways, I'm hoping that everyone will send him some prayers of upliftment and benevolence, finding himself, seeing the truth. Because I realized, like my oldest, he's got age of consent. He can choose where he wants to be. And he is only in my custody because my DM was young and immature and bratty when we had him, and decided not to show up for court when they were doing the custody thing to determine a bunch of weird stuff, because I had to be on DSHS. I didn't even push that. It's just what they did. And he didn't show up, which was advice likely given to him by pirates. But he's now again kind of in that similar situation. He's not really talking to an actual lawyer, and he's not got the money really to get good assistance, and he's listening to stuff that his family is telling him to do, which I feel bad because that could get his family in trouble too, because they're not lawyers. They work within the courts though, and it's very illegal to give legal advice when you work in the courts like that. It's an abuse of power. Anyways, he's trying to fly by the seat of his pants with that, and I recognize that between what he could screw up for himself and our kids in trying to pursue that stuff with me, and then the fact that if my adoptive family, I don't know how much of it was his. I know he's exhausted. He's been drinking a lot again. I can tell by the way he looks, and he's not taking care of himself. And Karmic certainly ain't taking care of him. They never were, but you know, he says that my adoptive parents are very upset that I called elder care services. But one, I wasn't going to leave them like that. Like, I've had to take them to the hospital so many fucking times. My aunt, who was there alive, that was one of the people that also, like, when my dad fell down and, you know, having a heart attack and stuff, who do you think heard the thump? Her, right? And they've got hordes and stuff all through the house. And when we left, there was fleas all over the house, too, and they refused to let us flea bomb the rest of the house. There's, like, a bunch of really weird reasons. But I wasn't going to leave them in that. It's like, you know, part of the reason I stayed and accepted half the abuse is because I felt obligated to stay and take care of them. Like, that feels like a thing to me that you do. You know, you take care of the people who took care of you. But I realized, you know, the way they were acting, it's like, I don't owe you that obligation. So, for me, to feel good, for me, I didn't want to leave them in that. But when I called Elder Care Services, they told me that actually it was good that I did, because being the only, like, sound mind adult there and leaving, I could have gotten in trouble for, like, elder abandonment. And that's covered now, because ECS went and checked them out, and it sounds like they saw everything that I was talking about, because one, there certainly wasn't enough time to hide it, and two, I mean, if they were able to get rid of stuff like that, you know, it wouldn't be hoarding, but it is, and hoarding is a psychological problem. And it sounds like they're very upset about that, which doesn't surprise me. They work on shame, and, like, you don't ever tell anybody about your problems. You don't try to get help. You don't try to do shit like that, which is really disheartening, because I know it's hard on their hearts as much as everybody else's. And I could see them being frustrated because not being able to do anything with my oldest, who is with me, the only fight that they could really have is with my DM over our youngest. And they told me before I left, in an attempt to try to trigger me, they told me that they had already tried to go to the family courts. And I know from the way that they interacted with my oldest son that they can't do shit about him, which is good, because he doesn't want to be there. And he wasn't safe there, clearly. But with my youngest, the courts don't look at kids under 15, 16 as being capable of having a choice. And my DM has done enough that it could create a lot of tangles. And it would put my youngest through a lot of nonsense. And I know that my DM's already going through a bunch of shadow storms and shit that, to be honest, if we just get brave enough and talk about it with people, I'm sure the pirates would probably go away. It's exposure that they don't like, you know? He'd stand up for himself. But that'll be his story to tell when he's ready to tell it. I know he's going to do it. I have faith in him. I'm just still sending him my prayers, because I know integrity is, let's just say it's a lesson that has taken him a little while to really, like, it's in him, it's so there, he always wants to make that choice, but he's a lot like my adoptive family, you know, and then you lean back and go, oh, but family, oh, but these abusive people who are being fucked up to me, I gotta be loyal to them, I can't let them down, they might have problems if I'm not here to care for them. And it's like, you know what, at some point in time in your life, you gotta step back and say, you know what, I have faith that they can manage to take care of themselves, and especially if they can wrap somebody like me up in this kind of nonsense for however many years, they're capable of figuring out how to care for themselves, you know? And I also know how manifestation works too. If we manifest a space in our lives where we feel like the world will fall apart if we are not that center hub, then it kind of seems like it does, doesn't it? Whereas if you have faith in everybody, in their light and their shadows, they tend to work out that way, you know? They take care of themselves, they do the right thing, the righteous thing. But it all depends on you and where you start, you know? As Shelley says, everything is you pushed out. This beautiful park I'm in, it's me pushed out, right? This is part of what my heart looks like, right? Children playing on the playground, a beautiful river nearby, lots of eagles around, my kiddos close, you know? You watching this, you are an extension of me, and I am an extension of you. And we tend to only fear that other people cannot care for themselves if we fear that we cannot care for ourselves. We tend to only fear that other people will harm us and do things to us when we have that in our hearts that we would do that to them. And I can tell, especially with what DM was saying, that like the stuff that my parents did with the bird and with my son was intended to trigger him. And I knew it was. I knew the minute that the police told me that they would not consider a bird anything other than property, it's not a sentient being to the government, that I could not take the bird out. And I tried to tell my aim not to take him. It's like, this could cause a lot of problems. This is why they are doing this. But he couldn't leave him there, and I understand. He probably would have died. He probably either would have died emotionally for the loss of a second important person in his life, and we're fairly confident that Grandma had tried to drown him not long ago from jealousy, that the bird absolutely loves my son in ways that it's never wanted to connect with. I've never even seen her try to really connect with it that way, but like, I don't know, a lot of the stuff that started up with those shadow storms, I can see it coming through, and it's kind of one of those, reminds me of A Knight's Tale, where they said, what is it, you've been weighed and found wanting, you know? And we're heading into, of the countdown months, into the 18th month, so we already went through the world, and judgment, and the sun. Now we're headed into the moon. And as we head from the 18th month into the 17th month, the star, it's going to be seeing a lot of that. You're probably going to be seeing a lot of stuff in your own life of like the times that you have made the moral choice, the times that you have had strong integrity, the times that you have put self-care and self-love and self-respect first in good ways. You'll be uplifted for those. And you'll be measured and weighed for the times that you've not. That's there, you know. But take them all with gratitude. This is a human life. This is a great experience that you get to have. Your soul is here. Appreciate that. Like I told my boss when they kept apologizing to me for being a kick-ass at the dishes, and I said, don't you say sorry to me. You're paying me to do this. You know? Because that's the way I look at it. A lot of people hate doing dishes. I like doing them because other people hate doing them. And they're real grateful when I don't mind doing them. I'll go bust them out all day long. And it's that sort of thing, you know. Look at the ways that you've been behaving. And if you've got pirates on your end or potatoes that are attempting to twist things in your life, don't spend time, don't give them that much real estate in your mind. You know what I mean? Spend more of your time focusing on what you're doing, on what realer shit is going on. Or like, you know what, I watched a Lizzo video that I've been thinking about a lot. She did a TED Talk. I'm so proud of her. She's done a lot. But she talked about when she first got rich. And she was like, what kind of rich bitch do I want to be? And I love the colloquialism of it too, but I love the way she said that. I've been thinking about that. Like, I really do want to manifest my first million this year. I don't know how or why or when it's going to happen. I just know it is. And that gets me thinking about like, well, what kind of rich person would I be? What kind of rich lady would I be? What would I do? And I do know I definitely want to do my Treasure Island castle, like a safe haven space for kids, and like have therapeutic offers to help them reconnect with their parents and stuff like that. And like, I've been thinking about too, like, especially with what all the kids we've seen along the way have talked about, like helping parents understand how to parent in better ways than they were parented, you know? How to get out of this sort of like nihilistic, well, you got a roof over your head, so just suck it with the rest of the abuse, or, well, life ain't fair, or none of that shit. Like, let's get rid of that stuff. That stuff is not helping anything. Look at what we're doing to our world, you know? I think that's the kind of rich bitch I would be. Go out and teach magic and parenting and manifestation and fun. I don't know, we'll see. I hope you'll stay tuned and find out with me. Until then, it's time for this Capricorn to go to work. So I hope you have a wonderful day.